On her 28th birthday, my wife Emma put in for a transfer to another city without telling me. By the time I found out, the application had already been approved. I begged her to reconsider. But Emma just said, "What does it matter where we go, as long as we're together? It matters." Putting down roots in the city was my dream. She knew that. She forgot. Later, I found out she did it for an old flame of hers who was suffering from depression. It's a slower pace of life out there. "You'll love it," she said. "You should quit your job now. Once we get the final date, we can head over together." I looked up at her. "Why are you only telling me this now? I wanted it to be a surprise."
À surprise?
Then why did my heart feel so heavy? I fought back the lump in my throat. "Your sudden desire to move to Havenwood. Is it because—" An ill-timed ringtone cut me off. Emma glanced at her phone and got up to take the call on the balcony. I have no idea what was said on the other end. When she hung up, she just tossed to something came up at the hospital. I have to run over there over her shoulder and made for the door. But she stopped at the doorway, then came back as if she'd remembered something. Emma kissed my forehead. "Happy birthday, honey. Don't wait up for me. Good night and sweet dreams." As soon as she couldn't see me, my eyes turned red. The moment Emma left, tears started to stream down my face. I already had my answer as I got up and walked to the balcony. Emma's car pulled out of the underground garage, then made a left turn onto the main road. That wasn't the way to the hospital. It was the way to the hotel where her old flame, the one that got away, was staying. I only knew about this guy because my best friend, Max, let it slip. He knew Emma too. That day, I had brought a home-cooked meal to Emma's clinic. I happened to walk in while she was with a patient. The patient was a young man. Their conversation didn't seem unusual, just a normal doctor-patient interaction. I was about to just leave the lunchbox and go, but Max stopped me. "Isn't that Justin? What's he doing here? Don't tell me he's still not over." Realizing his mistake, Max quickly shut his mouth. I shot him a sideways glance. After all these years with Emma, her friends were my friends. Besides, Max's girlfriend was one of my best friends. He knew where his loyalties should lie. "It's not really a secret. I might as well just tell you," Max said, gritting his teeth. And then he spilled Emma's whole story. In high school, Emma had a crush on a guy, the one we just saw, Justin. Justin was in the liberal arts track and liked her back. The two of them promised to go to the same university after graduation. But before long, their homeroom teacher found out about them. The teacher was so angry he called in both sets of parents. And that's when everyone discovered their two families were sworn enemies. It was a feud that started with their grandfathers, and it was still going on. So, not only did their parents vehemently oppose the relationship, but Emma's parents transferred her to another school. When it was time to apply for college, they even forcibly changed her application choices. That night, Emma must have sensed that I knew about her past. She took the initiative and told me why Justin had come to see her. She said Justin had depression and couldn't get proper treatment in his small town, so he came to the city to see what could be done. It was just a coincidence that she was on duty that day and ended up becoming his doctor. Worried I would get the wrong idea, Emma promised me over and over that there was nothing between her and Justin anymore. She said I was the one she loved now, and Justin was just a patient. It was 2 a.m. when Emma finally came home. I had been thinking about everything all night and couldn't fall asleep. When I reached over and turned on the bedside lamp, Emma's pupils contracted. "Did I wake you?" I shook my head and got out of bed to stand beside her. I expertly took her coat, and sure enough, there was that familiar scent of cologne. It wasn't mine. It was Justin's. I'm very sensitive to smells. I'd remembered it from that brief encounter at the hospital. But I didn't ask. Once a woman has started lying, there's no point in asking more questions. Emma didn't notice the look in my eyes. She kicked off her heels, slipped on her slippers, and asked casually, "Couldn't sleep? I'll go warm you up a glass of milk." "Don't bother." I stopped her as she was about to head to the kitchen. "I can't sleep because I'm thinking about what you said tonight. This whole transfer to Havenwood thing is just too sudden for me. And I looked it up online, the conditions there aren't great." "Emma, can't you just reconsider? Or maybe we could go to Westbridge. The city next to Havenwood? We could move back after we have kids in a few years. How does that sound? I humbled myself, my tone almost pleading. I was hoping she would at least listen to my side. But Emma blurted out, "I've already made my decision. I'm not changing it." With that, a dead silence fell over the living room. Just as tears were about to fall, I quickly lowered my gaze. Emma rushed to my side, scrambling to backtrack. "I mean, we don't need to think about it anymore. As long as we're together, does it really matter where we are?" "It does. Putting down roots in the city was my dream." She knew that. She forgot. Emma and I met in college. We were in the same year. We got to know each other in a student club. We started dating in the second semester of our sophomore year. Emma was beautiful and had this incredible presence. She was my ideal type. Back then, I didn't know anything about her past. I just got the feeling from spending time with her that she was into me, too. And I'm not the type to play games. So I made the boldest decision of my life. I asked Emma out. She said yes. I had gambled and won. She really did like me, and she was so good to me. We spent a wonderful and unforgettable time together in college. During our senior year, Emma asked me what my plans were after graduation. I told her I wanted to go to the big city, make a name for myself, and put down roots. At that moment, she held my hand firmly and said, "Okay, I'll go with you." The memory bled into my dream, and when I woke up, my pillow was wet. I'm afraid of the dark, so I instinctively rolled over to the other side of the bed. But the familiar warmth wasn't there. That's when I noticed the lightning and thunder outside, the rain coming down in sheets. A thought suddenly took root in my mind. The moment I turned on the light, my suspicion was confirmed. Emma was gone. She had left while I was asleep. In 3 years of marriage, this had never happened before. Even on the rare occasions she had to leave, she would always give me a heads up. She had never, ever snuck out without me knowing. I collapsed onto the sofa, sitting there for a long while before I remembered to call her. The phone rang once, and she picked up. My heart already seemed to know the answer, but I still asked, "Where are you?" No response. I pulled the phone away from my ear and saw that the call had been disconnected. Just as I was about to dial again, Emma called me back. I paused for a second before swiping to answer. "He's just a patient. Why did you have to be so aggressive and say all those horrible things to him? Don't you know he can't handle being provoked?" "Leo, I am so disappointed in you." Emma hung up. I felt like I'd been struck by lightning, my chest so tight I couldn't breathe. Sleep was impossible now. I sat in the living room until dawn. If I didn't have to go to work soon, I probably would have just sat there, numb, all day. I went to the kitchen and made myself a simple breakfast for one. Before I could even finish, Emma came back. The atmosphere instantly dropped to freezing. She put down her coat, walked over to me, and said, "Honey." I ignored her, pretending I didn't hear. After finishing the last bite of my egg, I got up and went to the kitchen. Emma followed me in. "Justin tried to kill himself." I paused for a fraction of a second, then went back to washing the dishes. I was just so angry at the time. I assumed you were the one who made that abusive call.
I'm sorry, honey.
I shouldn't have accused you without knowing the facts. Yell at me, do whatever you want. Just please don't ignore me. I continued to act as if I hadn't heard a word. I put the clean dishes back in their place and walked out of the kitchen. But Emma grabbed me from behind, wrapping her arms around me. I was wrong. I promise it will never happen again. Please don't be mad. Okay? Is that the only problem? Do you really think I don't know where you've been going these past few nights? I broke free from her hold. I didn't want to hear her excuses. I grabbed my bag from the wall hook and left for work. Just before quitting time, Emma finally sent me a message. I admit it, I have been going to Justin's place these past few days. But it's only because he was having a depressive episode. As his doctor, I couldn't just ignore him. Besides, I'm the only person he knows here. If the roles were reversed, I think you'd do the same thing. I didn't tell you the truth because I was afraid you'd misunderstand. I didn't reply. But that evening, I got a call from Max. He said Emma was drunk. I couldn't just leave her there. But when I arrived, I discovered that Justin was there, too. I asked Max what was going on, and he explained that our coworkers were throwing a farewell party for Emma. Then why is Justin here? People could bring a +1. Weren't you supposed to be working late tonight? Emma brought Justin instead. Don't worry, man. I was watching them the whole time. Nothing physical happened. But I wasn't working late at all. And I had never told Emma that I was. A wave of bitterness washed over me. But when I saw Justin, I forced it back down. That's just how it is. No matter how broken you feel, you never show it in front of a rival. I took Emma from his arms and gave Justin a tight smile. I'll take it from here. Emma has a sensitive stomach. Make her some honey water when you get home. Hearing that, I froze. After a moment's thought, I turned back around. Mr. Justin, didn't you know? My wife's stomach problems were cured 3 years ago. Justin's face went blank, then flushed red. Back home, just as I got Emma settled into bed, her phone buzzed. I thought it might be Max, checking to see if we'd made it home okay. But when I looked at the screen, I saw it was from Justin. Emma, are you sure your husband won't be mad that you requested a transfer to Havenwood for me? Emma never put a passcode on her phone. Justin could have easily waited until Emma was awake to say this to her in person. But he chose to send it right at this moment, which meant Justin sent it for me to see. Was this his revenge for embarrassing him earlier? He won. That single sentence truly made my heart ache so much I could barely breathe. I nearly died right then and there. The date for Emma's transfer was finalized. It was set for next week. When Emma called me, I was at my friend Max's place. I didn't know what to say. Okay, or got it. I didn't want to say either. Emma was silent for a moment before asking cautiously, "Are you still mad? Honey, I really know I was wrong. If you don't forgive me soon, I'm gonna have to use the makeup coupon you gave me." I had given her the makeup coupon in college. Back then, I guess I was emboldened by love, and I'd get angry over the smallest things. Whenever I got mad, I'd threaten to break up. The longest we ever broke up for was 2 months. Emma must have gotten tired of being the one to always reach out, because she didn't contact me, and I was too proud to beg her to get back together. Until one day, Emma was waiting for me, looking pathetic, outside my dorm. She asked me if I wasn't mad anymore. I nodded, and she threw her arms around me. In a voice mixed with hurt and resentment, she said, "Can we not bring up breaking up every time we fight?" I said no. Emotions are the hardest thing to control. Sometimes what you're thinking isn't what comes out of your mouth. Hearing that, Emma looked even more hurt. Her eyes welled up, tears glistening. She told me that during our 2-month breakup, she kept waiting for me to unblock her, waiting for me to make up with her, but it never happened. And every time I saw her on campus, I would pretend she wasn't there. Emma got more and more worked up as she spoke, attracting a small crowd of students. I had to pull her over to a quiet pavilion. "How about this? I'll give you a makeup coupon. Every time we make up, I'll give you one. You can use it the next time you make me angry." But I only ever gave Emma that one coupon, because after that, she rarely ever made me angry. Even when we fought, it never got to the point of breaking up. Emma was always quick to resolve our problems. I asked her, "Why are you always giving in to me? Didn't I give you the coupon?" Emma said, "I don't want to use it. I'm saving it."
He left her here.
"You'll get another one the next time we make up." Emma looked at me seriously. "I don't want to break up again." "Then why are you saving it?" I asked again. "Are you sure I should use it?" Emma's voice pulled me back to the present. This was ridiculous. I moved the phone away to hang up, but then I heard her say, "I'm using the makeup coupon. Honey, you're a man of your word, right? Come on down." I'm already downstairs at Max's place. I went back home with Emma. After all, I had made a promise, and I couldn't go back on my word. There were less than 3 days until next week. So as soon as we got home, Emma and I started packing. Things we couldn't take, we gave to neighbors and friends. The big stuff we shipped. The apartment was a rental, so we just had to move out. The rest would just wait to be loaded into the trunk next week. Time flew by and Monday arrived in a flash. Emma was up early. I thought she was taking luggage downstairs, but when I asked, She said she was going to pick up Justin so they could go together. She even had the gall to say it's on the way and there's space in the car. It'll be good to have an extra person on the road for support. What could I say? She'd already made the decision without me. I'm just about ready to head out, she said. Honey, you just need to grab your important documents. Leave the rest to me. Okay. After hanging up, I did one last check to make sure I hadn't forgotten anything. Once I was sure, I left the apartment we had lived in for 3 years. About 20 minutes later, I got a call from Emma. Where are you? I don't see you. At the office, I said, gripping my phone tightly. Emma, I didn't quit my job. You mean your resignation wasn't accepted? Right, I said flatly. On the other end, Emma seemed to let out a sigh of relief. Her tone became cheerful. I have to register for my new position the day after tomorrow. Honey, how about this? I'll go over first, get everything set up, and then come back to get you. By then, your resignation should be processed. Don't worry, I'll be back in a week at the latest. I won't make you wait too long. I chuckled softly. Okay. After hanging up, I went back to work. At 7 p.m., Emma texted to let me know she had arrived in Havenwood. She was having dinner. Afraid I'd get the wrong idea, Emma even sent a photo. Don't worry, honey. It's just me, your wife. Are you off work? Did you eat properly? First day apart. I miss you so much. Emma's words were sweet, but in the reflection on her spoon, I could see Justin's silhouette. Justin wasn't hard to recognize. He had been wearing a white shirt both times I saw him, and this time was no exception. His hair was a bit long, and combined with his depression, he had a kind of sickly, fragile look about him. He really did fit the part of her perfect, long-lost love. I replied to Emma with a simple K and didn't look at my phone again. It wasn't until later that night when I wanted to scroll through some videos that I saw she tried to voice call me several times. I sent a question mark. A video call immediately popped up. I didn't answer the video, instead switching it to a voice call. Emma, however, had her camera on. She looked a little annoyed. Honey, why have you been so dismissive today? You didn't even answer my calls. I was busy with work. That's it? You've changed. You used to try to comfort me, but now you don't even... I was getting annoyed, so I cut her off. If there's nothing else, I'm going to hang up. I still have a mountain of work to do. With that, I hung up. I didn't give her a chance to react. Emma seemed to sense something was wrong and quickly sent a question mark. I pretended not to see it, and she didn't press further. But I never expected that the next afternoon, Emma would show up at my office building. At that exact moment, the intern I was training was asking to treat me to dinner. I was originally going to refuse, but she was so persistent that I finally agreed. She was a young woman named Amy, but Emma, for some reason, jumped to the wrong conclusion. She thought Amy was trying to hit on me, grabbed my hand, and declared, "He's married. To me. So stay away from him. Otherwise, I can't be sure what I'll do." That last sentence definitely had a threatening tone to it. But the girl was really just an intern. All she wanted to do was buy me a meal. What had she done wrong? I shot Emma a look. She's a new intern at the company. We just have a professional relationship. It's not what you think. One thing about Emma, she's reasonable. Once she realized she had misunderstood, she immediately apologized. So, Emma was forcibly added to our dinner plans, which also meant the budget went up. I wasn't going to let the intern get taken advantage of. As we were leaving, I had Emma pay the bill. On the way back, Emma finally asked why she had come today. Honey, have you been in a bad mood these past few days? I feel like you've been getting more and more dismissive of me. I turned to look at her. I don't know if it was guilt, but Emma avoided my gaze and looked away. I curved my lips into a smile. It's probably just stress from quitting my job. I had, in fact, submitted my resignation to the company. That bastard of a boss had taken a project I had worked my ass off to land and handed it over to his new fiancée, who had just been parachuted into the company. If the company wasn't going to treat me right, why should I stick around? Besides, a major tech firm had already made me an offer. As soon as I resigned, I could start with them. The salary and benefits were miles better than my current job. That's right. I didn't quit because of Emma, and I wasn't going to some place called Havenwood. I was staying right here in the big city to keep chasing my dream. Emma took a call and then left, saying she had to get back for work. Before she left, she said she'd come back once I had a firm end date for my job. I didn't call her out on the fact that she was really going back for Justin. I was afraid she'd just argue that Justin was part of her job responsibilities. And how could he not be? She had even applied for a transfer for him. I found out from Max that Justin's condition was very difficult to treat. He mostly had to rely on himself to get better slowly. Therefore, it didn't really matter whether he was being treated in the city or not. He might as well go back to his small town, where at least the pressure wasn't as intense. I just never expected Emma would be willing to go back with him. I didn't know what Emma was thinking when it came to Justin, and I couldn't be bothered to guess anymore. Emma was no longer in my life plans. A week later, my resignation was official. As I walked out of the office building, Emma happened to call. I didn't want to answer. I had plans to celebrate with my friends. But I was afraid she would just keep calling, so I picked up. Emma spoke first. Her voice was full of apology. "Honey, you remember Justin, right? His depression has gotten worse. It's reached a point where he can't be left alone. His parents are far away and can't get back right away. I just can't bring myself to leave him. If you manage to finalize your resignation during this time, could you maybe take a cab over here by yourself?" Even though I had already decided to let go, my heart still ached hearing this. After all, this was the person I had loved for 8 years. You can't just let go that easily. "Honey?" "Sure." Emma sighed in relief and asked, "Are you officially done with your job?" "Not yet," I lied. "Probably another 2 or 3 days. I'll head over as soon as it's done." "Okay. Then I'll wait for you here." "Okay." I didn't go to Havenwood until Saturday. I stayed there for one night and tried some of the local food. Overall, it was just okay. Not as great as Emma had made it out to be. But one thing was true. Life was slow here. But I don't love a slow life. I much prefer the glitz, glamour, and nightlife of the big city. The next morning, I checked out of my hotel before calling Emma. It rang for a long time with no answer. I tried again, and this time someone picked up. But the voice on the other end wasn't Emma's. It was Justin's. I was both surprised and not surprised. Emma was always by Justin's side, so it wasn't strange that he would answer her phone. Justin, however, sounded a little angry. "Emma just fell asleep. Call her back this afternoon." "Fine." Just as I was about to hang up, Justin stopped me. "I want to meet with you." "Okay." Justin wanting to meet me was just like him answering the phone, both surprising and not surprising. He had probably wanted to talk to me for a while. He just never had the chance. Justin arrived before me. As soon as I sat down, he called the waiter over, playing the part of the gracious host. I didn't touch anything. I was just here to take care of business. So I got straight to the point. "Spit it out. What did you want to talk about?" I could see Justin flinch. He was probably surprised by how direct I was. He gripped the glass on the table, looked at me, and after a moment's thought, finally spoke. "Leo, can you give Emma back to me?" "Sure." "What did you say?" "That wasn't Justin. It was Emma." I hadn't expected Emma to be here. Justin was even more shocked than I was. He shot up from his seat. He tugged on the corner of Emma's sleeve and said anxiously, "Emma, let me explain. It's not what you think." Emma ignored him, her eyes fixed on me. She repeated her question, "What did you say?" I collected myself and smiled faintly. I said, "Sure, I'm willing. What's the problem?" Hearing this, Justin tugged on Emma's sleeve again. He seemed to want to explain something, but Emma pushed him away. "Get out." Justin reluctantly left. He kept looking back every few steps, as if he were genuinely afraid Emma would misunderstand him and ruin his image in her eyes. The moment he was out the door, I took a pre-signed document out of my bag. "Emma, let's get a divorce." Emma's expression froze for a second. "You're joking with me, right?" "I'm not joking. I'm dead serious." "Emma, I don't want to be with you anymore. Let's just have a clean break." I looked her in the eyes and said it word for word. Only then did Emma realize I wasn't kidding. She asked cautiously, "Is it because I've been neglecting you lately?" "I'll change. I can change. I promise it won't happen again. Just don't divorce me." By the end, her voice was trembling, and her eyes were red. Whenever Emma made me mad, as soon as she cried and said it wouldn't happen again, I would feel my heart soften, wipe away her tears, and tell her I forgave her. But not this time. Seeing my indifference, Emma grew frantic. Say something, honey. Did I do something wrong? Tell me I can change anything. Or did Justin say something to you just now? There's really nothing between us. I don't know why he would say those things, I really don't. Please don't divorce me, okay? Whether he did or not, it doesn't matter anymore. I put the divorce papers on the table and said calmly, remember to sign. With that, I walked away without a second glance. Before I boarded my flight, Emma called me countless times. I only replied with a single text message. Once the cooling off period is over, I'll see you at the courthouse. Then I temporarily blocked her on everything. But I never expected that as soon as I got off the plane, I would receive 2 texts from Emma, sent from a borrowed phone. I'm not getting a divorce, and you can forget about it too. I replied, then we'll just drag it out. We'll stay married without any love. During the mandatory cooling off period, Emma was constantly trying to find me. But I had a new job and a new apartment. I didn't tell anyone except for a few close friends. Not even Max knew, because if he knew, he would definitely tell Emma. He thought our problems didn't need to escalate to a divorce. But he wasn't me. He didn't know I had reached my breaking point. Since Emma couldn't find me, she resorted to using different numbers to text and call me. Couldn't block them all. Out of desperation, I finally went to the phone company and canceled my number. Only then did I get a few days of peace. But Emma and I were still legally married. Through some special means, she found me anyway. That day, I was having dinner with a client. Emma's appearance was an unpredictable variable. I was terrified she would ruin the deal I had worked so hard to close. But she didn't. She just sat at a nearby table, waiting for me to finish. In that case, I figured I could sit down and have a civil conversation with her. After all, it was just a divorce. Plenty of people in the world get divorced and manage to stay friends. Maybe Emma and I could too. Then I almost laughed. That thought was truly a bit too fantastical. After my client left, Emma was still sitting there, watching me. For a moment, I was transported back to the first time I was negotiating a project. Emma had sat there silently, just like now, cheering me on. With her there, I always felt a sense of calm, and more confident that I could land the deal. Emma was like my anchor, soothing all my nerves and insecurities. I was so lost in thought that I didn't even notice Emma walk over. Not until she called my name in a hoarse voice, honey. I looked up at her. From a distance, I hadn't been able to see her clearly. Up close, I realized how haggard Emma looked. Her face was pale, with dark circles under her eyes. Her once meticulously cared for hair was now a bit messy. Seeing her like this, for some reason, I felt a knot in my stomach. In my mind, Emma was always a refined, put-together person. Now she looked like a ghost. I never imagined that asking for a divorce would hit her this hard. But I didn't feel regret. What do you want to say to me? Go ahead. Leo, She clearly had so much to say, but at this moment, Emma hesitated. She poured herself a glass of water and downed it in one go. I thought she was going to talk about the divorce. Instead, Emma finished the story that Max didn't know. She said Justin developed depression because of her. Back then, after their parents forced them apart, her phone was confiscated. So she never received the messages Justin had sent her. Justin thought Emma was ignoring him, and that's what triggered his depression. Because of his illness, Justin missed the college entrance exams. After retaking the year, he only got into an expensive third-tier private college. But his family had already spent all their savings on his treatment. There was no money left for his tuition. So, Justin dropped out working odd jobs while trying to get treatment. But he never got better. In fact, he got worse. A doctor in Havenwood told him, an illness of the heart can only be cured by the one who caused it. So he found you? Emma nodded. Hearing about everything he went through, I felt so guilty and responsible. I just wanted to make it up to him somehow. And so you agreed to go to Havenwood with him? Emma's expression froze for a few seconds. Then she nodded again. Everything that happened to him was because of me. I couldn't just ignore him. But Leo, my feelings for him are purely out of guilt. Nothing more. What if he never gets better? What will you do then? Emma's gaze faltered for a moment. In that split second of her hesitation, I already knew the answer. So I only asked her if she had signed the divorce papers. Emma shook her head, as if answering no to both my last question and the one before it. But I didn't want to waste any more words on her. I threw out a "then I'll see you in court" and left the restaurant. What I didn't expect was that Emma had let me leave on purpose, so she could follow me home. How could someone be so shameless? Even after I had security escort her away several times, she was still there. I was at my wit's end. What the hell do you want? I don't want a divorce. As long as we don't get a divorce, I'll do whatever you say. What about Justin? I won't see him anymore. I let out a cold laugh. Putting aside whether you can even do that, it's impossible for us anyway. The most important thing between a husband and wife is honesty. The moment you started lying to me, we could never go back. Emma looked at me. Her eyes slowly turned red, and then she covered her face and broke down, sobbing. A hoarse, broken voice came from between her fingers. As long as you're willing, I'm not willing, and I can't accept my wife constantly putting me second to another man, no matter what the excuse is. Let's just end it here, Emma. I didn't hesitate anymore. I turned and walked away. But Emma threw her arms around me from behind. Tight. So tight it was suffocating. Something wet and sticky soaked the back of my shirt. The makeup coupon. I want to use it. Emma was like a drowning person clinging to a piece of driftwood. You said that if I used it, no matter how mad you were, you would make up with me. I'm using it. For a moment, my mind went back 7 years, to the year Emma and I had our worst fight. I had asked her why she would rather suffer than use the makeup coupon. She said, "I'm saving it for when you try to divorce me someday." Emma, don't you know? I said to her word by word, this coupon only works for people who are still in love with each other. And besides, you already used it, and I never gave you another one. Epilogue, Emma's perspective. The day I was on duty, a familiar figure suddenly walked into my line of sight. His name was Justin, the boy I had a crush on when I was young. To be honest, even now, I'm not sure if I ever really liked him. I just remember that, like me, he loved reading books by Kigo Higashino. We both spent our free time in the library, hiding in corners to read. We were more like two misfits who had suddenly found a kindred spirit, a friend with the same interests. What I mistook for love in my youth was just a sense of camaraderie with a friend. By the time I realized it, it was far, far too late. That day, he told me that ever since I transferred schools, he had developed mild depression. He wasn't even able to take the college entrance exams that year. After repeating a year, he only managed to get into an expensive third-tier college. Watching him mock himself, I was overcome with guilt. I wondered, if I had never told him I liked him back then, would he have ended up like this? But there are no do-overs. Justin then asked about my life. I told him I was married, and about my husband, Leo. Being with him, I finally understood what a physical, all-consuming love felt like. Even at work, I was thinking about him, wanting to be close to him. We started dating in the second semester of our sophomore year. But what no one knew was that I had fallen for Leo long before that. It was during freshman orientation. His class was being punished by the drill instructor, forced to run 3 laps around the track. Leo and his roommate slacked off, slipping into our group, right next to me. Leo never mentioned it later, so I guess he didn't remember. But I remembered it vividly. That's why when Leo was choosing a student club, I followed him. I don't know if you'd call it a tacit understanding, but just as I was about to confess my feelings, Leo asked me out. I had never met such a direct man before. He just straight up asked if I wanted to be his girlfriend. In contrast, I was the complete opposite. I had prepared a long, poetic confession. But before I could send it, my roommate saw it. She teased me about it for 6 months. She said I sounded like some ethereal poet, writing such cheesy, overwrought stuff. But people online said it was romantic, so that's what I had tried to learn. Justin's depression was much more severe than I had imagined. and my guilt grew stronger. So, every time he called me, I would rush over immediately. But I was afraid Leo would mind, so I didn't tell him. Later, Justin said he wanted to go back to Havenwood. He asked me if I would go with him. For some reason, I couldn't bring myself to say no. So, I secretly applied for a transfer without telling Leo. I knew Leo would be angry, so I waited until the transfer was approved to tell him. I thought it was just a change of workplace, but I never expected Leo's reaction to be so intense. Many years later, I finally understood why Leo was so determined to divorce me back then. I had completely forgotten the promise I made to him, all for a stranger who was full of lies. Because of Justin's faked suicide attempt, Leo and I had a huge fight. To be more precise, I falsely accused Leo. At that moment, I was just so angry. I wasn't thinking straight. When I later found out I had misunderstood, I wanted to slap myself. To make up, I used the makeup coupon Leo had given me back then. We reconciled, and Leo agreed to go to Havenwood with me. But he lied to me. He told me he wanted a divorce and handed me the signed papers. Only then did I realize he wasn't joking. Panicked. I was scared. I didn't want a divorce. Not at all. So I begged Leo. I begged him not to divorce me, but he seemed to have made up his mind. I didn't know what to do. I could only shamelessly drag my feet, refusing the divorce. I thought that one day he would eventually forgive me. I was wrong again. He was willing to sue me just to get a divorce. Leo was dead set on divorcing me. It was a single sentence from Max that finally woke me up. To you, it might not seem like a big deal, but if you were in Leo's shoes, could you accept it? It was a wake-up call. If the roles were reversed, I couldn't accept it. I had even felt a little jealous when Leo just had dinner with that intern. And here I was, having done so much for Justin. I finally realized how terribly wrong I had been. But Leo wouldn't forgive me. Even when I knelt and begged him, he remained unmoved. I had no choice but to use the makeup coupon. He gave it to me in our junior year. He said that as long as I used it, he would make up with me. But I had forgotten. That coupon had already been used. I had used it to force Leo to come to Havenwood with me. After the divorce, Justin came to find me. By then, I had already learned the whole truth from a friend. The world works in funny ways. Justin's primary doctor in Havenwood was one of my college classmates. She told me that Justin had only developed depression 2 years ago. The cause wasn't my unanswered message, but domestic abuse. That's when I knew Justin had lied to me, and because I felt guilty, I lost the man I loved.